You've tuned in to Books, Business, and Beyond, the show that teaches you how to maximize your income from your book to create the lifestyle you want. Now here's your host, the girl who loves spinning nunchucks around her head and Legos, Kristen the Book Ninja Eckstein, and her partner in success, Shelley Hitz.
Welcome, everyone. Next Books, Business, and Beyond podcast. This is your co-host, Kristen Joy speaking, and my fellow awesome co-host, Shelley Hitz, is here as well. Hi, Shelley.
Hey, Kristen. Ready to get some great information today and excited to be here.
This is going to be great. We have an awesome guest with us today. And actually, thanks to her assistant who put me in touch with her, they reached out to me. And this is really cool, guys, because this is the CEO of Pubslush. And Pubslush is something she's going to tell you more about. I mean, it's an amazing crowdfunding resource for authors. And the more I look at it, the more impressed I am with what they're doing. So without further ado, I'm so excited to bring to you today Amanda from Pubslush. Hi, Amanda. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kristen. Thanks so much for having me. I am doing great. Really excited to be here and to talk to your author and reader community a bit more about who we are and what we do.
Great. Awesome. So let's kick it off with that. Tell us a little bit about Pubslush, how it works, why it's awesome for authors and all that.
So Pubslush, really think of us as a pre-publication platform. So we work with publishers and authors of all sizes, whether you're, indie publisher or, a big traditional publisher, whether you're a first-time author or an experienced author, you can use our platform to really help you foster your pre-publication marketing before your book is actually available for print. Essentially, we have two ways to utilize Pubslush during pre-publication. One, like you mentioned, is crowdfunding. If you're not familiar with crowdfunding is the ability to raise funding for your project. Small increments of funding in exchange for a reward by a large amount of people. So that's where our authors are seeing a great need for raising money and capital to be able to put towards their book, mitigate some financial risk, test the market, understand who their readership is. So it's a really valuable tool that it's being used, and it definitely an up-and-coming industry, crowdfunding. And then the other side of that is we also offer pre-order campaigns. So we work with several publishers and authors who have the funding, and they might not be interested in raising capital for their project, but they do really still want to test the market. They still want to learn about their readers, and they want to be able to create a buzz for their upcoming title. So we help them put together really amazing pre-order campaigns that have videos and visuals and packages and author interviews and, of course, the author's social media. So it's a really great hub for the author.
So pre-ordering is really cool. Like I've had authors ask this all the time, like, how can I get people to pre-order my book on Amazon, or, pre-order, how can I pre-sell my book so I can start raising money now, to help with my marketing campaign or help with the funding of actually putting the book together. So can you talk a little bit more about the nitty gritty of that process and how you are able to work with authors to make that happen? And if you work with Amazon or if you do it all on Pubslush, or how does that work? Yeah,
so for the pre-orders and crowdfunding, we do that all through Pubslush. What we find is something to really remember as an author. You need to focus on your marketing strategy. And your marketing strategy isn't, my book is published, so now let me start thinking about my marketing strategy. You need to spend at least, 30, 60, 90, 120 maybe on your marketing strategy. It doesn't happen overnight, especially if you have a great story to tell, if your book has, potential for some media coverage, whether that's, something like a great magazine feature or something so simple as, in your local newspaper or your local school district's newsletter. No media is too big or too small when it comes to coming out with your book. So really having a strategy in place, having readers in place. Who is going to read your book? Do you have, can you start with family and friends first? And then can you utilize that network to touch their family and friends and so on and so forth?
It's a really interesting concept with the pre-orders. What kind of results are you seeing authors get? Because a lot of authors I talk to, they hear all these great ideas, but what they really want is, what is the bottom line? Are people actually selling books through the pre-orders? Do you have any case studies or anything like that to share?
So yeah, of course. It just depends on the author and what their strategy is. You can put your book, like our, for example, we see authors using the, like for the crowdfunding side of things, making $10,000 in idea phase. The book probably won't be ready for a year, but they're making, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 because people really like their idea. So they're motivated even more to bring the book to life. And then you see authors that are using the crowdfunding or the pre-order to just really get people to buy the book before it's published. I guess in regards to case study, like I mentioned before, it really has to do with the author/publisher. And if they have a strategy in place, if you just put your book up on, if you say, I'm going to do a pre-order on these 10 sites and then you market to 10 different places, you might get a few nibbles here and there. But what we find is if you have an author that's really driving all of their traffic and all of their promotion into one funnel, it's getting a lot more buzz fairly quickly. So that's what we really advise is, if you're going to do it, and there's no exclusivity ever with us. We want you to do what you want to do. You own your book. You need to feel comfortable. But this goes across the board. Funnel your readers into one central place and know what your readers want. Do they want the ebook, and is that all you're offering, or do they want, some might really want the print book, so it behooves you to offer both formats. And then of course, utilizing that pre-publication time, like we mentioned before, to get bloggers to start talking about your upcoming title, to get local, get into your local community and maybe do some author signings and some book signings and things like that. So we're not only advising our authors to take things digitally, we're also telling them to leave their computer screen, get out there and meet their readers, because those connections are really worthwhile at the end.
That's so awesome. So can you give us a marketing tip for how an author could use Pubslush and the pre-ordering system, maybe a virtual book tour, a blog tour, something like that?
Yeah, so I've seen authors that have had
to traffic to that site,
So I've seen authors that have had really great success on blog tours, but if an author came to me, I would recommend really targeting a list of 10 to 20, depending on what your topic is, maybe even 30 bloggers that you feel your book would be a good fit for their audience, and do a more personal type of outreach to them. See if there's a way you could do a giveaway. Can you give away an ebook copy? So it doesn't cost the author a lot of dollars, but it gets people excited about getting your book for free. And a lot of the times the bloggers will actually let you in on all the people that entered your giveaways, follow up and create a relationship. I think, as an author, especially if you're a first timer in this, you're really trying to understand how to get more readers to your book. I think you need to realize that, over something like 3 million titles are published every single year between traditional and self-published. You are definitely competing with a lot of eyes. So how are you going to make your book stand out? What's going to make your book different? So if you can take that and make it a little bit more personal, connect with your readers, making sure that anyone that's retweeting you or favoring something on social media, you're interacting with them, because if they like you as the author, they're more inclined to purchase your book. So what else can you do to make that genuine connection? And like I mentioned before, of course, social and online marketing is huge, and most people spend a good percentage of their day either on their computer or on their cell phone. So capturing those eyeballs is of course important, but what can you do when you step away from the computer? I know that I was actually just recently in Philadelphia at an author event, and it was, very, very intimate, about 30 to 40 authors. Some amazing speakers were there as well, but it was a great way for other authors to interact. And I also recommend, joining an author group or a writing group and have some author friends that will promote your book and you promote theirs in return, because having some other networks to get your book out there doesn't cost you and your author friends anything, but you might have similar interests. I've seen that's very popular in the romance genre. Authors teaming up, 5 authors teaming up, and they're all cross promoting, 5 different titles to their own networks, but because they have the same type of readership. So that these are just some type of creative ideas that, like I said, that are no barrier to entry in regards to cost, but could be interesting, for getting the word out there in a bigger way.
That's so awesome. I absolutely love the way that you're, especially driving traffic to one location. That's key, I think. I always tell authors they still need to have a website because they need a hub. They need a central location to send people to. But if they don't have that yet, I see this as just an awesome option for them to be able to do. So can you us a little bit how the cost works? Because I know we probably have some listeners going, yeah, but how much does it cost, to use Pubslush? How does that work? Because I mean, you're a business. So how do you get paid and how does the office get paid?
So to start a crowdfunding or a pre-order campaign with us is completely free, $0, no cost entry. Yay, yeah. So it's it definitely behooves an author, especially if they're trying to get their name out there, to list their book with us, because it's another channel. And if our readers are interested, they're going to check it out. They're going to share it on social media. We prompt them to share it and buzz about it. So you definitely want to be in an outlet that doesn't cost you much, just to get the additional exposure. So with crowdfunding and with pre-orders, if you decide to do self-fulfillment, meaning the author or the publisher will be fulfilling their own books at the end, we only take 4%, which is the lowest in the industry in regards to percentage for crowdfunding. Which is great for us. And great for the reader, great for the author. So they get to make a lot more money. And then of course, all crowdfunding platforms have a credit card processing fee. So at the end, the author will walk away with over 92% of all the money that they raise, which is a good chunk of the money, almost all of it. So that's the fee structure if you're doing self-fulfillment. If you are looking to have Pubslush take care of the fulfillment for you for pre-orders, we can do so. We just partnered with Ingram. So if you have your book listed in Ingram system, which you can do very easily through either Ingram Spark or Lightning Source, you will be eligible for us to fulfill your books. And that's just the standard Ingram fee. That's across the board, which I believe is about 30%. So it's the same for print. It's the same as, Amazon or things like that. But the biggest advantage, I'd say, is that we give you all your reader data, which is huge.
That's absolutely huge and key, because Amazon does not give you any reader data. So you can't get, I mean, they even say on their site, sorry, but we don't share that information with you. And so that's really awesome to use Slush to get reader data and demographics, because you know where your readers are coming from and you can reach out, including direct mail, happenings in their areas and where they're at and things like that. So that's really cool. So I would like to know, Amanda, what are the benefits to crowdfunding besides having other people to support you and buying your project? But because there's a lot goes in a book, including marketing costs and production costs and things like that. So what kinds of things do authors need to think about as far as setting a budget, as far as setting a amount that they want to raise, and what kinds of things they should want to look to spend that on, spend that money on, and then also the benefits to actually being able to raise that money?
Of course, yeah. So I think as an author, you need, and especially if you're doing your self-publishing, which, in today's world, people think that self-publishing means you're going at it alone, and you don't have to go at it alone. You can create a team. You can curate and find a team that fits for you. So you find an editor, you find your cover designer, you find, a marketing team or a platform like Pubslush that can guide you through, ask questions. You can ask your editor for recommendations. You can ask the Pubslush team for recommendations. So don't feel like you need to do everything on your own. Also, make sure you're doing, I know this sounds funny, but Google the company that you're working with, see what they're all about. Have people enjoyed working with them? Do they have any bad reviews? What other companies are similar to them? What do they have to offer? I mean, Pubslush has a crowdfunding model, so we get compared many of the time to something like a Kickstarter. But Pubslush is very, very different than Kickstarter. For the obvious things, like, we have a lower percentage, and we also do a flex funding, which is made for authors, so they can set, the minimum they need to publish, and then their overall goal or their ideal cost that they want to incur, that they might incur, that they can set their goal for. But Pubslush is really targeted for authors and for the literary world. So we offer things like we have connections with traditional publishers. We have connections with self-publishers. We just brought in an in-house agent. We've actually are shopping around 2 of our books right now with our agent that they were completely coming to us self-published. And they did amazing. Both of them raised over $12,000, showed huge viability for their work, have great books and stories to tell, and then we introduce them to our agent. And they're getting some interest, and that's not something that you can say for every crowdfunding platform. So I really do feel like we have a unique positioning in the industry. I feel like if you're an author that wants all the benefits of crowdfunding, and like Kristen asked, what do you use those funds for? And how do you set a budget? I mean, I think research is key. I think finding out what the average cost of an editor is, an average cost for the layout for your ebook. And then, of course, things that you might not even realize, like your ISBN, it costs money, if you want, and you need an ISBN for every format, print and both ebook formats, and then if you do an iBook, etc. So do your research. Don't go at it alone. Build a team that are trusted, that even if it's one person on your team that you really trust and has been doing this for a while, lean on them. They're going to be happy to help. And then also make sure you create a budget so you're not dipping into your own, savings or your own, family's hard-earned money to pay for something that you don't know whether or not it's going to take off. And that's why crowdfunding is so important, because if you're not able to sell, I think if you're not able to sell 100 copies in pre-publication or in crowdfunding, you are at a huge disadvantage going into publishing, your pub date essentially. 100 copies is very easy and attainable if you have the right marketing strategy. My team also helps with marketing strategy. We don't do your marketing for you. We're not that established in the marketing, to do it for you right now. But we have we know what works, we know what doesn't. So we can help you get on the right track in regards to putting this book out there and doing it successfully.
Yeah, I love that idea about testing an idea. So you test a book idea, see if it's selling in the pre-order, the crowdfunding, and then you can really put that money into what's needed for editing, cover design, all of those sorts of things. Now, we have just about a few more minutes left. And so in closing, what are your final tips for anyone that's considering using Pubslush or doing crowdfunding for their book? Do you have any final tips for us?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, the tips, I could probably give a ton right now. But yes, the tips are, if you're going to do a crowdfunding campaign, I would definitely research platforms, know what you're getting yourself into. Your book is your baby. You probably have spent a lot of sleepless nights, time away from your husband, your family, your job, your life to write this. So treat it as a business, be an entrepreneur. I always say don't rush it. Impulse publishing, because the publishing industry has made it so easy for an author to literally write and then upload to CreateSpace within the next 24 hours. People think it's okay to publish within the next 24 hours. It's not okay.
Thank you for saying that.
It is not okay. Do not impulse publish. You need a plan. And I always say, if you want to be another one in a $6 million pool on Amazon, go for it. But you're not going to be discovered that way. You need a strategy and you need the excitement, because the day that your book comes out, it's already old news. It's the excitement that you build before that will guarantee you sales during that first, week or month or year. So having a strategy, doing research, building a marketing team, or building a book team essentially. And I do feel that we work with a lot of great hybrid publishing models, which I really think is the way of the future. I think they're really up and coming. I mean, we work with over 12 companies right now, just because they see the need for an author to have more money to put towards their project before they even publish. So, they're great partners of ours, because those authors are able to crowdfund, raise, $10,000 or $15,000 and then be able to publish really successfully. The more money you have for your project, the better off you're going to be. So I hope that answers your question. I know that's a lot of takeaways, but I think that it's not easy to publish, and people think it is. It's not easy. You need to have a plan. So I think that having a few things to remember is important.
We love a lot of takeaways.
Yes.
That was
yeah,
awesome.
We totally agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely. And everyone who's listening, you can find out more about Pubslush at booksbusinessandbeyond.com/Pubslush. That's Pubslush. So thank you so much for being here today, Amanda.
Thank you so much again for having me. And of course, if anyone has any questions that they want to talk to me about directly, my email is just amanda@pubslush.com. And I'm pretty accessible. I'd love to chat with any writer that wants to learn more, not only about Pubslush, but just about crowdfunding and pre-orders and marketing in general.
Awesome.
So thank you so much.
for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Books, Business, and Beyond.
You've been listening to Books, Business, and Beyond, the show that teaches you how to maximize your income from your book to create the lifestyle you want. Visit your host, Kristen the Book Ninja Eckstein, and her partner in success, Shelley Hitz, at booksbusinessandbeyond.com and grab your free gift today. Tune in next time for more ways to diversify your income beyond the book, and don't miss a single episode. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes.